Hello, everyone. Today we are reading from the statement and the deposition of Roberta Sowders. This is Michael's mother. Andrea's here with me. She is going to read the statement for us. Hi, Andrea. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Okay, so there's 5 pages of a handwritten statement that you're going to read.
Right.
Okay, go
Ready?
ahead.
Okay, statement of Roberta J.A. Sowders on 9/3/2002. At approximately 6:30 p.m., 9/2/02, Tabby came rushing into my house to drop off Drake. She laid Drake on the couch and went to put baby formula in the fridge. While doing this, she was hurriedly talking about going with Kyle Neff to the hospital, where his girlfriend's grandmother was, and they didn't expect the grandmother to make it through the night. She made the comment about not understanding why Amanda, Kyle's girlfriend, wanted her to be there as they had been fighting and arguing to each other for a couple months. I started to ask questions, but she said Kyle was waiting outside for her to take her to the hospital. She said to the effect about being back later, but didn't know when. Michael came in at 10:45 p.m., checked his mail, saw Drake asleep on the couch, and asked about Tabby. I told him what she had said to me about going to the hospital for Amanda's grandmother might not, and grandmother's not might not make it. And then the night that she made a comment about she didn't see why she went with them not getting along and fighting lately. I asked Michael if he wanted to take Drake home with him. He asked if he could go back and get a shower, watch his show, and come up and get him if Tabby wasn't back yet. Michael came back up at 11:25, and I mentioned he was it. Okay, this part's hard to read. I mentioned he was early, didn't expect him till 11:30. He said it usually ends early. Anyway, I told Michael Drake was sleeping, and since he had to go to work and school in the morning, I would just keep Drake until Tabby got home. He said if she got home real late and didn't pick him up, he would send her up for him when he got up for school. This happened a couple times when she worked late at McDonald's. I was asleep when she got off, and so she had left him with me and came up first thing in the morning. So it wasn't unusual. I stayed up until around 3 a.m. and went to bed. Drake woke up at 5 a.m. and at 6:15 a.m. I called back to Michael's. Tabby hadn't come up, so I needed to make sure he was up in time. She was up, in case she was still at the hospital. Tabby wasn't there. Approximately 7 a.m., I called Cheryl's restaurant and asked for Debbie, Kyle's mom. I explained what I had been told last night, but that Tabby hadn't come home yet. That Michael had tried to call them last night and their number was out of service, and if she could give me their number. She did. I tried to call it and let it ring several times. I called Debbie back to see if their car was out there. She said it was, but that they don't answer the phone in the mornings. She then added that they don't answer the door either. Something if you had it, or if you beat on it. I called Kyle's number two more times, letting it ring about 30 times each. I had a 10:15 a.m. doctor's appointment. I went to that, came home. Tabby still hadn't returned. I tried Kyle's number at 11:50 a.m. and he answered the phone. I asked if it was Kyle and he said yes. I told him who I was and asked if Tabby was there. He said no. He didn't think so. I asked if they were still at the hospital. He kind of said, huh? Like, duh. I told him what Tabby had told me last night, that Michael had tried to call number and his number not working, and that I was getting worried. He told me that he did not take Tabby to the hospital, that he had brought her to my house at 6:30 p.m. when she dropped off Drake, and that he took her to, it says Tipton Town. It says Tipton Town, and had dropped her off at Village Pantry. He said he was to meet someone there, or she was to meet someone there. I asked if he knew who, and he said no, he didn't. At some point during the conversation, I had asked again if Tabby was there. He asked someone there, Tabby's not here, is she? And then told me they answered no. I called Michael's cell phone. It was a little after 12 p.m. today. I left a message to see if he had heard from her, as I hadn't, and asked him to call me on his way to school. He called shortly past 12:30 p.m. and said he hadn't heard from her and was getting worried, as this was unlike her to leave him so late in the morning. I told him about my conversation with Kyle, and he asked if he could call her. He asked if he could call me back. He was getting a text message from Tabby's parents on his phone. I had called there between
them.
It looks like them, but then it looks like then. Between leaving message for Michael and him calling me and ask if maybe she had spent the night with her sister. No, and this wasn't Tabby. My thoughts also. Michael called me back shortly after. He said he had stopped at Kyle's and Amanda on his way to Indy, and Kyle had basically told him what he had told me. After calling Tabby's mom later, I found out that Kyle was now saying he didn't bring Tabby to town nor to my house, but that he had ridden his motorcycle in town, and so he was
and saw her outside
of VP, and that she was supposed to meet Liz Balser. I had already called some of Tabby's friends to see if they had met her or knew anything. None of them had seen her since before 3:30 p.m. on September the 2nd and the day before. I eventually made calls and got
Liz Balser
to call her, and she said she had last seen Tabby the day before yesterday, when I had seen her outside also that same day, Tuesday. She said she had been in Kokomo all
evening.
Is that what that says?
Yeah, I think so.
All evening last night, and had made no plans to meet Tabby last night. Tabby's mother and stepfather came to my house a little after 6 p.m. tonight to get Drake for a while. They said they had stopped by Kyle's and his mother's, and they were not at either house. Shortly after, I left my home to go past sheriff's department to see if maybe they had asked him to come
Answer
questions on or something. As I drove past police station, I recognized my son's truck parked behind post office to police station. I asked if my son was there, if my son was here. Yes, he was back answering questions that I could take a seat and wait. And then it says, I told the deputy that I was the last family member to see Tabitha before she disappeared, and he buzzed the door and told me I could go on back. Told John Alley all I know and remember to the best of my recollection. He asked me to write this statement. Roberta Jo Raines Sowders.
All right.
Lord, that was hard to read.
That was a handwritten one, so it was hard to read those parts.
Well, and she's left-handed and has a very severe slant.
Yes, not what we're used to.
Right.
All right, so now we are going to read the taped statement of Roberta Sowders, case number 16F13945. And Andrea is going to read the parts of the police officers.
Yeah, his name is Mike Tarr from the state police.
And I will read the part of Roberta Sowders.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
This will be a taped statement of Roberta Joanne Sowders, Sowders. It's reference a death investigation, case 16F Frank 13945. Today's date is 10/5/02. The time is 8:57 p.m. Location, the Tipton City Police Department. Present are Roberta Sowders, Sergeant Tim Miller, and myself, Detective Mike Tarr. Roberta, would you state your full name, address, and phone number?
Roberta Joanne Sowders, 429 South North East Street, Tipton, Indiana.
Do you have a cell phone? Okay, do you have a cell phone?
Yes, I do.
And do you live in apartment A or the front apartment of this residence?
Yes, I do.
Who also lives with you at that residence?
My husband, Jeffrey L. Sowders, and my oldest daughter, Sandra Marie Raines.
How old is Sandra?
21 or 23.
Do you also have a daughter that lives upstairs in a separate apartment?
Yes, I do.
What is her name and that address?
Michelle Amber Raines, and her address is 429 and a half Northeast Street, Tipton, Indiana.
Her age and the phone number for that residence.
She is 21 and her phone number is...
Do you also have a son that lives in an apartment behind your apartment in the same...
It's in the same house, yes.
Correct. What is his name?
Michael Franklin Raines.
And what is that address?
429 Northeast Street, apartment B.
Tipton?
Tipton, Indiana.
And his phone number?
Blah, blah, blah.
How old is Michael?
Michael is 19.
Is Michael married?
Yes, he is.
And what is his wife's name?
Tabitha Ann Raines.
How old is Tabitha?
Tabitha is 16.
How long have they been married?
7 months as of the 3rd of October.
And do they have a child together?
Yes, they do.
And what is the child's name and age?
Drake Kingsley Raines, and he will be 6 months old on the 7th of October.
When did you last see or have a conversation with Tabby?
Wednesday evening about 6:30 when she brought Drake in for me to watch.
Where was her husband, Michael, at this time?
He was at school in Indianapolis at Lincoln Tech.
Earlier, did you tell me that Michael works half days at a repair shop in Kokomo?
Yes, he does.
And what is the name of that repair shop?
Burnett's.
And then he goes to Indianapolis for school Monday through Thursday?
Yes, he does.
And what time does he usually get home in those evenings, Monday through Thursday?
About 10:45.
And what day of the week was this the last time you seen or spoke with Tabby?
Wednesday.
And he would have been at school at that time?
Yes, sir.
And was anyone else at your residence when Tabby came that evening?
My middle daughter, Michelle, that lives upstairs, was down when Tabby came in.
Okay. Who was with Tabby when she came to your residence?
Tabby and the baby came in the house. She told me that Kyle Neff was outside waiting for her.
Did you see Kyle Neff?
No, I did not.
Did you see his vehicle or a vehicle that he might have been in?
No, I did not.
Tim? Okay, this is Tim Miller. Do you know what he normally drives?
He has a white car and he has a motorcycle. He's been known to bring her and pick her up when she worked. Was seen on both of them.
You know what kind of car?
No.
Is it like a passenger car or a truck or?
Oh, no, it's a white car. It's, I don't know, maybe like a Buick or something. I think I can't remember if it's got 2 or 4 doors on it or not.
Do you know where Kyle Neff resides?
I don't know street address, but I know he lives on west on 28, just before you get to 31, in a greenhouse right before Cheryl's gas station.
Okay, we're back on Mike Tarr. And does Kyle's mother own Cheryl's restaurant?
I believe she owns it. I know if not, she's a manager of it, but I believe she is the owner of it.
And did Tabby recently work at Cheryl's restaurant?
Yes, she did.
And did earlier, you did tell me up until about a month ago when she got fired. Is that correct?
Yes, it was about a month ago.
You stated earlier that it wasn't uncommon for Kyle to bring Tabby home, correct?
Correct.
And was that from work?
Yeah, from work, and there was times he would come and pick her up. Kyle and I took turns, you know.
So it wasn't uncommon for Tabby to tell you that Kyle would take her somewhere.
Right. That's Kyle's outside waiting on her, or that Kyle had just dropped her off.
And what did Tabby tell you this particular evening?
She came in and she was telling me that she was going to the hospital because Kyle's girlfriend, Amanda, her grandmother was in the hospital. She was not expected to make it through the night. And she said it was kind of, odd or strange that she didn't understand why Amanda wanted her there, because they hadn't really been speaking. They've been fighting for a couple of months, but that, Amanda wanted her there. She felt she needed her there, so they were friends. So she was going to go.
Is it accurate that Kyle and Tabby still had a good friendship?
Yes, as far as I knew.
And Kyle is presently living with Amanda, correct?
Correct.
And what is Amanda's last name?
I believe it's Pratt.
How old is Amanda?
I don't know. I think she's over 21, but I don't know.
Does Kyle and Amanda have a child together?
Yes, they do.
At one time, was Amanda and Tabby good friends?
Yes, they were until just a couple of months ago.
And something happened that soured their relationship?
Yes, I believe it had to do with the jobs out there or something along those lines. They were working together and it's like they weren't. And the last few days that Tabby worked out there, they worked together and they kind of looked like they were kind of splatting around a little bit. I was outside in the truck waiting for Tabitha.
So Amanda works at Cheryl's restaurant also?
Part-time, yes.
Tabby never told you what their argument or disagreement was about?
No, it really didn't look like they were like fighting. It was just like that they weren't really getting along. I mean, it was like, like when you're talking to somebody because you have to talk to them as you're walking by. And it was kind of like that. That was the kind of body motions that, are interpretations that I got. I could be wrong, but but it wasn't like they were in there, duking it out or, screaming at each other.
And about how long was Tabby at your residence that evening?
Just a few minutes.
When she left the residence, did you see where she went, if she got in a vehicle or not?
No, I did not. It just wasn't odd.
Did your daughter?
No.
And this would have been approximately 6:30 p.m.?
Right. I even asked Michelle. Michelle was in the kitchen, and we have a window that looks out to the front door. And I asked Shell if she saw Kyle out front or, in any vehicles, and she said no. And I specifically asked Michelle if she happened to see it, after we realized that Tabby wasn't with Kyle and Amber.
It's supposed to be Amanda.
Right.
At what time did Michael get home that evening?
He got home between 10:40 and 10:45 that night. He was a few minutes earlier than sometimes normally is, but it was just like a matter of a couple minutes.
Okay. Did he know where Tabby was?
No, he came up to my house looking for him.
Did he make any attempts to contact her or try and find out where she was that evening?
Well, yeah, when normally, if they're not home, when he gets home, they're up at my place. So that's what he did. He come. Drake was asleep on the couch, and he was like, "Where's my other baby?" I told him what Tabby had told me, and he thought it was odd that she was going to be with Amanda when her and Amanda weren't getting along.
Was he able to locate Tabby that evening?
No, he went home and tried to call out at Kyle's to see if Tabby was out there with them or how the grandmother was doing and stuff, and the number was no longer in service.
Did you try to call Kyle that evening?
No, I didn't know Kyle's number.
The following morning, which would have been October the 3rd, a Thursday, is that correct?
Uh-huh, yes.
Did you call Michael?
Yes, I did.
Did you wake him up to make sure he went to work?
Yeah, because Tabby hadn't come up to get the baby yet, so I wanted to make sure he was up so he wasn't late for work.
Did you inquire if Tabby had come home and was with him?
Yeah, I asked him, and he said no, she wasn't. And we kind of inaudible. She was probably, still with them.
Did you call Debbie Neff, it's supposed to be Kyle's mother? Well, he says Michael's mother.
No, Kyle's mother.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kyle's mother.
Yes, I did.
And about what time did Kyle call Debbie Neff?
6:30, 7-ish, closer to 7.
And what information did you learn from Debbie Neff?
I specifically called from Debbie. I told her what Tabby had told me and that she hadn't come home yet. That Michael tried calling the night before and the number didn't work, and asked her if she could me Kyle and Amanda's number so that I could call and talk to them, find out if Tabby was there.
Did she give you the phone number?
Yes, she did.
Do you recall what Kyle's phone number is?
Oh, I think I think.
Did you try that number?
Yes, I did.
Or during your first conversation with Debbie, did Debbie tell you that she had stopped by Kyle and Amanda's on Wednesday evening?
Yes.
Who was home at that time?
She told me Amanda was there. She didn't mention the baby or nothing, but she told me that she had been to Kokomo and she was coming home and she stopped by. Amanda was at home and that Kyle was headed into Tipton, into town.
Did she tell you what time she was at the residence?
No.
By your conversation, were you able to estimate a time she might have been there?
Well, yeah, from the way she was talking, if she was saying Kyle was headed into town, I assumed that it had to be around the time he was picking Tabby up, and he was picking Tabby up. So I'm assuming 6, 6, 7 o'clock.
Did Debbie tell you anything about if Kyle and or Amanda was at the hospital that evening?
She told me that they were not at the hospital the night before because Amanda was home. Kyle was headed into town. She said that Amanda had spent all day at the hospital. Her grandmother was in there and had knee surgery, and Amanda had went with her dad that day and had been there during the day.
Did you learn if there was any emergency health issues involving the grandmother?
No, there wasn't, as far what Debbie told me.
Did you also learn that the grandmother was released the next day?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Because Debbie was just like, it was like she had surgery on her knee, kind of,
Around noontime on Thursday the 3rd, did you make telephone contact with Kyle Neff?
Yes, I did.
And what did Kyle tell you?
Kyle, when I asked him if Tabby was there, he's like, no, she's not. And I'm like, I started explaining, well, she told me that, she was going to the hospital with Manda last night. Are they still there? And he's like, no, and I was telling him what Tabby told me about that she was going to the hospital to be with Amanda because Mandy's grandmother was in the hospital and that they didn't expect her to make it through the night. And he's like, I didn't take Tabby to the hospital. He said, I brought Tabby and Drake to your house and she dropped Drake off. He said, then I took Tabby up to Tipton Town and dropped her off in front of VP because she was supposed to be waiting for somebody. And I asked them then if he knew who she was waiting on or anything. And he was like, no, I don't know, I don't know who it was.
Did Kyle tell you where he had picked Tabby and Drake up from before bringing them to your residence?
No, but I assumed that they had been out at his house, and I kind of confirmed that or kind of put that because...
Do you know where Tabby had been earlier in the day or afternoon before dropping Drake off?
Yes, she had been to the Learning Center for her first GED classes.
And about what time was she at those GED classes?
Michael picked her up out front at 1:45 about, and she walked home. Got to my house to pick up the baby about 3:30. I know that about 4:30, her and the baby were going for a walk. And because she come up, I don't remember why, but something about the stroller. And I went to the door to let my dog out at the same time they were leaving or something. And she was heading north on East Street, not towards town or anything.
So that was around 4:30?
Yeah, and that...
On Wednesday?
Yeah, and that was the last time I saw her until she rushed in to drop Drake off with me about 6:30.
Do you know if she went anywhere during the morning of Wednesday?
Yes, she'd been up to my place because she'd stopped up to see if I'd take care of the baby and the learning.
Is that while she was at the GED classes?
No, she come up to my house about 11:30. GED people had called her and woke her up and told her that they had a cancellation or something and that she could start her GED classes from 1 to 3 that day. So she come up to ask if I could take care of the baby while she went to classes, and then she went back, and got a shower and stuff because we can hear when the shower comes on.
So from 1 to 3, she was at the GED classes in Tipton. You had Drake.
Right.
She came back at about 3:30, picked
Yeah, by the time she walked up.
Drake up.
Yeah, it was about 3:30.
Then at 4:30, you seen her going for a walk with Drake.
Yeah, she came into my house for something. I can't remember why, but I let my dog out as she was going in.
And then she came back around 6:30 and told you that she was leaving with Kyle Neff to go to the hospital.
Yes.
Is that the last time you spoke with Tabby?
Yes.
Okay, earlier you stated that Tabby and Amanda were at odds, correct?
Correct.
Do you know when the last conversation that Amanda and Tabby had?
It was about 2 weeks ago out at Marsh parking lot.
Were you and Tabby at Marsh?
Yes, we were.
And then how did Tabby have this conversation with Amanda?
Tabby and I had been in there getting stuff, and as we were coming to go out, that we were starting to walk out the one way, and Kyle comes in the opposite door because there's 2 doors, and he kind of called Tabby over to him, and she come back over and she's like, Amanda's out in the car and needs to talk to me. She said, she handed me her groceries. She said, I'll be there in just a couple of minutes. I'm like, okay. So I took my stuff, her stuff, and the baby and went out and got in the truck. It took her more than a couple of minutes to talk.
At some point then, did you ever go over to the vehicle where Amanda and Tabby were talking?
Yes, I did.
And then did you have Tabby get into the vehicle so you could go home?
Yeah, I told her that my ice cream was melting.
What did Tabby tell you about the conversation she had with Amanda?
When she got in the car, she's kind of like, oh my God, She said that Kyle and Amanda were going to be moving up to Greentown. And I'm like, why? Because number one, they work right there behind the restaurant. But anyway, they were moving to Greentown, and that Kyle had supposedly stole $2,000 worth of cocaine from someone down around Carmel, Indianapolis, and that this person had told them that they either wanted the money or they were going to kill his wife and baby. And so they were going to get a place and move to Greentown where these people didn't know where they were. And
And as far as you know, is that the last conversation Tabby had with Amanda?
As far as I know, yes, it is.
And that was approximately 2 weeks before she disappeared?
Yes, sir.
On Wednesday the 2nd?
Yes, I could probably go home and find the receipt and tell you what day it was.
Have you obtained any information to where Kyle has possibly changed his story as to what happened on Wednesday?
Well, yeah, I heard he's told a lot of people a lot of different stories. I mean, I had heard that he changed it like 3 times between the time I talked to him at noon and I was up here at the police station at like 6 o'clock, 6:30ish Thursday evening.
Have you had, other than the one conversation we've already talked about between you and Kyle, have you had any other conversations with him personally?
No, I have not.
What are some of the variations you have heard him make?
Okay, I've heard that I've been told that he is now saying he did not bring Tabby a drink to my house. I've been told that he said that he just dropped Tabby uptown in front of VP and that she was to be meeting Liz Balser. I've been told that he was just driving on his motorcycle and Tabby was standing out front and he pulled over and said, hey, and she mentioned she was meeting with Liz Balser. I've also been told that he said that his wife and baby had come through town in the car, and one time I heard that they stopped and talked to Tabby, and another time that they didn't. I've heard that he drove by on his motorcycle and saw her and didn't stop, So, I mean, I've heard all kinds of different things.
Have you had any conversations with Liz Balser?
Balser, yes, I have.
And how do you spell Balser?
I believe it's Balser.
Do you know where she resides?
I was told through questions and different people that she lives out in country living trailer court with her mother.
Do you know her mother's name?
Linda. I don't know if her last name is still Balser or not.
How old is Liz Balser?
Liz is like 17, 18, 19 years old. I had that she's been going into the hip hugger and stuff in Kokomo, but she's not old enough to be in there.
When did you have a conversation with Liz?
I had a conversation with Liz Thursday late afternoon.
And that would be October the 3rd?
Yes.
And did Liz call you at your residence?
Yes, she did.
And why did Liz call you?
Because between myself and my oldest daughter, we had been making phone calls to people that knew Liz, trying to find out what Liz's phone number was.
Did you and Liz talk about if she had been in contact with Tabby?
Yeah.
And what did she tell you?
She said the last time that she had seen Tabby was on Thursday, the day before, was supposedly going to the hospital, that her and Tabby had.
Just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, you had your conversation with Liz on Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when was the last time Liz and Tabby were together?
According to Liz and Tabby both, it was Tuesday afternoon.
Because I believe you stated Thursday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, I talked to her Thursday.
So Tuesday, right? But 2 days earlier on Tuesday.
Right.
Liz and Tabby were together.
Yes.
And Tabby had confirmed that in a conversation on Wednesday with you?
Yeah, when she came up to ask me about Drake, keeping Drake.
And?
Because I questioned her about Liz being out in the front of my house talking on the telephone. And that's when she told me Liz told me when she called.
Did Liz give you any information as to where Tabby might have been or went after Wednesday evening, the last time you talked to her?
No, she said the last time she talked to Tabby was Tuesday.
Did Liz indicate if she had talked to anyone that had contact with Tabby after Wednesday evening?
Not that I know of.
Okay,
What Liz told me was that her and her mother had been at the hip hugger Wednesday evening, which was the night Tabby disappeared. So she said she had not seen or talked to Tabby since Tuesday afternoon.
Did she give you any information of who might know, who may have information about what happened to Tabby?
No, but she said if she heard anything, she would call me. And, I'm like, I thanked her. And,
And this is the only conversation that you've had with Liz?
Correct.
Have you had any conversations with anyone else that might have information pertaining to what happened to Tabby?
I've talked to Emily Sprinkle. I stopped up at the courthouse Thursday and had to have the sheriff come and unlock my truck because I locked my keys in. I talked to a bunch of kids that were up there. There was Erica Overly. There was Lindsay Groves' boyfriend.
Of all these people, though, have they given you any information that would help us to find out what happened to Tabby?
No.
Of these few names you've given us, who are some of the close friends that Tabby has that she might have talked to about and what had been going on in her life?
Like, her best friends are Jamie Hamilton and Stacy, and I believe Stacy's last name is Johnson. But something I haven't told you, Stacy and Tabby usually only talk on Thursdays because that Stacy's day off. So she probably wouldn't have talked to Stacy since the Thursday before. So I don't know if she tried to call Tabby on Thursday, because I mean, I couldn't.
Does Stacy Johnson live here in Tipton?
I don't know. She used to, but I don't know.
Does Jamie Hamilton still live here in Tipton?
Yes, she does.
And does she still live with her parents, Brent and Kelly Hamilton?
Yes, she does.
But you don't know the address or phone number, correct?
I have the phone number at home because Jamie came over to my house after talking to Gary Stout. Then she got off work that day and she came over, which was yesterday.
And earlier, did you tell me that Lindsay Groves was a close friend of Tabby's?
Not close friends. They were friends. They went walking because they both had babies right about the same time. So they both was like walking off post pregnancy, but really hang out and be friends. No, but
it would be someone we want to contact.
Yeah.
Do you know her address or phone number?
I think she lives on the corner of West and Washington Street because Tabby had me go over there one time after Lindsay and had borrowed my stroller, and that's where I went to pick it up.
Does Lindsay live with her mother, Cheryl?
She used to live with her mother, Cheryl. I don't know if she still does. I've heard she's living with her grandma sometimes too, so.
And then one other name you mentioned to us was Emily Sprinkle.
Yes.
And Emily Sprinkle lives at 736 Northeast Street here in Tipton?
Yes.
And her phone number is blah, blah, blah.
Yes, because we looked in the phone book for that.
And
she's not real good friends. I mean, I don't think they're, like really good friends. They just went to.
But earlier.
To the school together on Wednesday.
Right.
And walked home together.
Earlier, you had told us that Emily and Tabby were together at the GED class, correct?
Correct.
And that was on Wednesday between 1 and 3 p.m.?
Yes.
Is there anyone else that we have not mentioned that might have information pertaining to what has happened to Tabby?
Not that I know of. I did talk to Steve Jones. You asked me earlier other people that I had talked to, and I talked to Steve Jones last night. He called me after we had left messages at his mother's house and stuff, but he didn't have any idea either. But I just know, though, that you asked me who all I talked to, and I didn't tell you him.
Is Steve Jones a friend of Tabby's?
He was a friend of my son Michael's, and I mean, they all kind of hung out together, but Steve doesn't live in town anymore, so they really don't hang out. But that was another story I heard. Kyle Netherton had said that Steve Jones was supposed to be getting off work at midnight Thursday night, and he was taking Tabby to a rave in Indianapolis. And then when I heard that, and I don't remember which one of these people ever told me it, but I'm like, that's BS, because Tabby would not leave this baby for 24 hours or for 24 to go to a party. And if she's going to a party, she would just ask me to babysit.
And was that with Kyle Neff?
I was told that was one of the stories that Kyle Neff said, was that Tabby was supposed to be meeting Steve Jones at midnight Thursday night.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. I forgot about that earlier.
And the reason that you don't think that's an accurate statement is because you have talked with Tabby and Michael about if they go party or do something, there are certain things they are to do.
Yeah, which was to have me babysit the baby.
So there would be no reason for Tabby to lie about something like that.
No, none at all. None at all. Because I've kept that baby when they've been to Kyle and Amanda's for a party. I've kept the baby when Kyle and Amanda and other people were at Michael and Tabby's house. So, and Tabby had been to out drinking with her girlfriends at one of their houses one night. And, she told me what she was going to be doing. She was going to go over there. They were going to drink some beer, watch movies, and wanted to know if I would keep Drake. I kept the baby. That there's no reason why, if Tabby was going to be going to a party or something, that she wouldn't just say, I'm going to a party. Will you keep the baby?
Okay.
They're
Tim, is there something you would like to add? Tim Miller. You remember who told you that Kyle later said that he did not take Tabby to town?
I believe that's what he told Mark Tate, which is Tabby's stepfather.
Okay, do you remember?
But Michael told me that when he called me the Thursday afternoon, told me that the dispatcher up there said that that's what Kyle Neff had told Deputy Jeff Pike. And I think that's the reason why Michael went ahead and come home from school.
Do you remember who told you about Kyle? Said he drove through town on the motorcycle and seen him?
Emily Brown. Tiffany Boatwright. I'm trying to think who all was saying all these things.
And how about where Kyle's wife and baby drove through town and stopped and talked to her?
That was also I believe, Tiffany and Emily. They went out to Kyle and Amanda's house Thursday night. And in the time that they were there, Kyle and Amanda told them 3 or 4 different things. And just, it's like when they left there, they come straight up here and made statements because they stood out there and changed their story like 3 or 4 times in the little bit of time that they were out there that night. So the police have statements from those girls because they kept changing their story out there. So I believe that's when.
What's Tiffany's last name?
Boatwright, I believe.
And Emily's?
Brown.
That's my daughter's girlfriend. Oh, no, that's you.
Brown, that's my daughter's girlfriend.
That's all. Mike Tarr, is there anything else that you would like to add before we conclude this statement?
Other than that, then I don't believe that Tabby did anything when she left my house, other than the fact that I honestly believe thought she was going to the hospital.
Did she indicate who contacted her or who wanted her to come to the hospital?
No, just that Kyle was, out front not out front, but was outside waiting on her. She was really rushed because he was out. Because I started asking some more questions. Because at first I couldn't remember who Amanda was. I'm like, who's Amanda? Whose grandmother? She's like Kyle's girlfriend, Amanda. And I'm like, oh, okay, And she like, I really got to go because Kyle's outside waiting on me. So.
And that's Amanda Pratt, correct?
Correct.
And she lives with Kyle Neff?
Yes, but my only comment is I honestly, with everything I own, believe that that's what Tabby thought she was doing when she left my house. Just because there was no reason for her to lie about anything.
Either did you tell me that Michael and Tabby had been going through a little bit of a rough spell a few months ago?
Yeah, they did.
That in the last month, things had gotten better?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and?
They had money problems, and they were just both stressing.
And is it correct Michael had got a new job?
Right.
In the last few weeks, and that he was going to school 4 evenings a week, correct?
Right, but Michael also got grants through his school to pay the bills, which made things. And Tabby just said, like Monday, that it was just like when like Michael had gotten back to life when they were dating because he had gotten really grumpy. I mean, I had talked to him a couple times about his anger and his attitude, and And he's just like, I can't pay the bills. I can't do this. And, and.
But things have kind of turned around and we're looking up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Roberta, do you swear under the penalties of perjury that the information that you have given in this statement is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
This will be the end of the statement. The time is 9:29 p.m. The date is 10/5/02.
End of tape statement. Okay. Any reflections on that statement? So she clearly thought that Tabby was going to go to the hospital. Like Tabby believed she was going to the hospital because Amanda's grandmother was in severe condition.
Right.
She's flat out said that if Tabby wanted to go party, she would have told Roberta that she wanted to go party.
Which blows my mind, because how could me as a mother, I don't care if my 16-year-old was emancipated, I could not legitimately let my 16-year-old leave to go to a party to drink.
Right, but you got to think most of the time when Tabby was going to party, it was with Michael. Michael was with her, or it was with her really close friends.
Right. And I know kids are going to do what kids want to do, regardless if the parents know. That's a given.
Right. But in these situations, Roberta knew this.
Right.
She knew exactly where she was going to be and what she was going to be doing.
Right.
And her only rule was on those nights when that happened that she was the one to keep Drake.
Right.
Which was very responsible,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
and it's better to
better for her to keep them than them or her have the baby out with them while they're doing it.
And it's better to have an open, dialogue with the two of them and know that yes, they're gonna go party.
Right.
And just say, be honest with me and say I'm going to party, and the rule is I keep Drake when that happens. And it sounds like they did do that in the past, because she specifically said when Tabby and Michael would go to Kyle and Amanda's, or Kyle and Amanda would come to their house, or other people, if there was going to be any drinking, then she would keep the baby. Or if Tabby went with her friends or her really good friends or whatever, and they were going to drink a beer.
Right. And then you got in the other Kyle's statement and Amanda's statement that there had been times that Tabby had asked Roberta to keep Drake and not told them that she was going to party.
But that seems odd to me, because why? Why would she be honest with Roberta all these other times?
Right.
And then in the instances that Amanda and Kyle state she lied, I don't get it. Why would she lie if she was honest all those other times?
Yeah, she wouldn't have any reason to.
No. I mean, Roberta knew that they were going to be kids, that they were going to drink. I'm sure she said, don't drink and drive, and, be responsible, stay there, or whatever.
Or call me, I'll come get you.
Or call me and I'll come get you.
Yeah.
And I keep the baby until I know that you two are functional again.
Right.
So why would Tabby have to lie about something like that? It doesn't make sense about the night that she was. It's almost like she was being lured out of the house.
Right.
With the story that Amanda's grandmother was gravely ill and Amanda wanted her at the hospital.
Well, and in one of the other statements that we'll read later on, that witness said that she saw Tabby pushing the stroller at about 6:30 going north on East Street. And Roberta is saying it was at 4:30.
Right.
So there's a definite time variation there.
Right. But I think out of everything that we've read, and the fact that Kyle and Amanda insist that Tabby lied to Roberta all the time about wanting to party, Roberta's contradicting that and saying, no, if they wanted to party, they would tell me they wanted to party, and I would keep Drake.
Right.
So if Tabby wanted to go out this night and party,
yeah, why didn't she
meet
just
up
say
with
I'm going to a
Liz,
party?
she would have just told Roberta, I'm going to go party.
Right.
Keep the baby until Michael gets home, and I'll be home. I won't be home too late.
Right.
And to me, I mean, this is the most important thing, because this is when she leaves that house.
Right.
So did Kyle or Amanda call her and tell her that Amanda wanted her to go up to the hospital because her grandmother was gravely ill?
Well,
as a way to lure her out of the house?
Or in the other lady's statement, the one that I was referring to just a little bit ago, if you remember right, she said that she saw Tabby walking with 3 guys that were in between the ages of 18 and 20. And that she was crying.
And that Tabby was crying, right?
Right. So could it have been that the lady just got the time mixed up and it wasn't 6:30 and saw her actually at around 4:30, like Roberta says, and she was talking to these guys? Because that lady said that when she approached Tabby to see the baby, she was going to talk to her and look at the baby. Those 3 guys took off.
Right. And my question is, why was she crying at that time, and who were the 3 guys?
Right. And then she goes back to Roberta's in a panic, in a rush, and says, I need you to watch the baby.
Right.
And gives a farce excuse.
When she didn't have to.
Right.
So that tells me that Tabby truly believed she was going to the hospital. And that's what Roberta
but how did she find out? But Mike Tarr asked a very good, valid question. How do you know who told Tabby that?
Right.
Because according to what Kyle said, he didn't tell her.
Right. So something right there off the bat does not make sense.
Right. Who are the 3 guys? Why was she in tears? And how did she find out that she supposedly needed to go to the hospital?
Right. And was Amanda and Kyle part of that story to get her out of the house that night?
Well, we know that Kyle was at her house at 5:30.
Right. Because he made the phone call.
Right. And he was gone no later than 6.
Right. Because he went and met up with Adam Johnson.
Right. in Atlanta. And Atlanta's about a 10-minute drive, depending on how fast you drive from
Right.
Tipton. So
a lot of questions, and a lot of the stuff that Andrea and I are talking about right now, you guys may not understand, but you will coming up. So, Andrea, we are going to move on, and we are going to read the depositions of all the police officers, the ISP officer, correct?
there's quite a few. There's quite a few police statements, yes.
Yeah. So we're going to read those next and continue on this journey, and basically just continue from there. Go through the police statements, and then
the rest of everybody else's statements.
Right. And then we'll go on to all the police supplementals, the certificates, and so on.
Yeah, the certificate of analysis and stuff.
Yep. But we are cooking along. And we're going to start recording more and more and get this out to you. So, and in between, we'll do some live streams too.
I was going to ask you that if you planned on doing a live anytime soon about the ones that we'd previously recorded.
Yes.
Just in case people had questions.
Yes. So by the time they see this one, there will have already been a live stream.
Okay.
So, all right, everyone, that's where we're going to end it tonight. I'm going to try to keep these about an hour long because it takes less time to upload. So thank you for joining us, and we will be back with the next statement or deposition. Bye, everyone.